Alright guys, such Kremp again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Frustrations of the pros with the current state of the game, the meta, and even potentially their peers as professional players have been boiling over in recent days. Method rage quitting a channel last night, but Drazah also making it very clear that as far as he tries to get these players to actually get into some money 8 or just 8 in general, anything Drazah wants to play, these guys are turning up, they're stealing their paycheck, and they're not even trying to improve. Just a couple of weeks out from the Call of Duty World Championship. What has got into these players nowadays? They used to be back in the day, the final push towards the big one at the World Championship on the horizon. Nowadays, Drazah says, what are these clowns even playing at? Very much enjoy to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Just firstly to quickly mention here, whenever we do these AR SMG pyramids, we have, of course, the top 10. So for the AR pyramid, we had Scrap move up to number 1, Cellium drop down to 2nd, Rencor go up, Ghosty, of course, go up, Mercury's, Drazah, Super drops down slightly, but, with Ghosty going up and Rencor, of course, having a great event. Nastie, Abuzah, Dashy on the list as well. But actually in the article, there is also more, because sometimes there are changes made, such as on the SMGs, and we have actually a 5th tier. So the 5th tier of SMGs on our current rankings is as follows. So, just to quickly run through the SMGs again: HyDra, Simp, Envoy, Huke, JoeDeceives, Neptune, CleanX, aBeZy, Shotzzy, and Real. The kind of honourable mentions on the 5th tier, as it currently stands, are Kremp, who's obviously done a pretty good job this season, all things considered. Gwinn, who certainly would have been there last year and started the year pretty well, but then kind of fell off. Nero, he actually had an incredibly good Major 4, but this entire year, again, has been kind of what you expect from Nero. Then Estriel and Pred are the other ones, and, Pred was actually in the 6th tier, but we moved him up after recent solid performances. Same thing happened there for Nero. And on the AR side, we went through who those ARs are, and if we scroll down to the 5th tier as it stands, whether you guys agree or disagree, Beans was in 5th tier before, he's still there. Sib in a similar category, Geo in a similar category too. Kenny moved up a tier after a decent major, and then Insight as well. So probably the names that I think you might expect. If you disagree, let me know in the comments below. A couple of Lion Man cards as well. I know that people have been finding these up going into the World Championship, looking back at some of the legends in COD history and the way that Lion used to run these numbers back in the day. This, of course, the 2013 World Championship that Crimsix and Complexity went on to win. These were some of Crimsix's numbers at the time. Not gonna lie, pretty outrageous to be fair. And then actually no, this is BO2, sorry, the year before in 2013. 2014 it was this one where Kremp was even better. So look, as I say, back in the day, the World Championship, there were loads of teams. So early, like in the early part of the tournament, it was possible to farm stats a bit more than it is today. Like, I will say that. But, of course, it's a bit of a different story, because nowadays you can win, it used to be the case, you won 3 series to win champs. That's what FaZe did when they won it in 2021, because they had the bye in the bracket, right? Back in the day, you got to play some questionable teams in the first couple of rounds, but still, you had to win loads of series to make it all the way through. So that was the BO2 Crimsix card. This was the Ghosts Crimsix card when we were unfortunately playing domination. But honestly, I don't know. Kind of worked, I suppose, and maybe the objective time wasn't necessarily there because TP was a thing, but certainly the slaying was. And just to look at one of the cards that was the greatest ever back then, because getting a 99 rated on a Lion Man card back then was pretty much impossible to do, because he didn't have the adjustment factor that there is today, and I'm not exactly sure how he calculated efficiency and these other things too, but anyway, Dashy was a 910 overall at Vegas 2018, if you guys remember. It was, 2019 season for Black Ops 4, but it was first weekend of December 2018. Dashy, one of the best individual performances of all time. Of course, his first ever event with OpTic Gaming as well. That was a sign of things to come. But let's talk about some of the drama. We've seen some cheating drama in recent days as well. Nadeshot was not happy about it yesterday. We saw giving his thoughts on the state of things, just really the game in general. Hackers everywhere, Warzone, wherever you go, it's the same story right now. And despite what COD say about trying to fix it, it doesn't seem like it's an issue that's going away. Even this from Scump last night, look, here he is getting shot underneath the map. And even for Scump, who has, I wouldn't go as far to say he's got the patience of a saint, but he's a pretty patient guy. And, we're running into stuff like this where we're getting shot underneath the map. And Scump understandably was pretty frustrated about this and recognizing that, okay, well, here we go again. it's been nice to try, and then we've got this fella underneath the map like it's, you know, modded Black Ops 1 with a gold MP5. I'm sure if you guys have played Black Ops 1 in the last couple of years, you run into someone like that. And, you know, this is what we have nowadays in COD on the games that are meant to be super up-to-date and without any of these issues. So, yeah, I don't know what these guys are going to do. Nadeshot's obviously not happy about it. Look, they're still playing it for now, but I wouldn't imagine that's really going to last for too much longer as it stands. So we've got pros, players, streamers, whoever, potentially rage quitting Call of Duty on issues like this. Wouldn't blame them at all. We've also, though, got other players trying to find a way to not play hackers. Now, even this isn't the easiest thing to do ever. We've certainly heard drama over the last couple of years about players, you know, let's say in chals, especially when there's any kind of money on the line. You do always have to wonder whether people are playing fully legitimately. And we've seen over the last couple of years either players in challenges or players that used to be pros, shout out Jimbo, and even, you know, others maybe finding ways to cheat. I mean, I saw some pretty crazy cheats at a time when somebody had like a tiny little mini map in the bottom left-hand corner. All it was is just a few dots that would rotate, but you could cover it with an overlay. It was so small that, you know, you wouldn't be able to see it on a monitor cam. And it's like there were just so many ways that people were cheating and trying to get away with it. So even if you played chals, you're not guaranteed to play people totally legit. And okay, in this case, obviously, Methods is playing with the boys, and, you know, he's not having a particularly great time, which was pretty hilarious. So, and I don't think that Fatty was very happy about this either as well, based on what I understand happened shortly after this moment, based on what Jay Leto was discussing in the replies. So there was that whole thing happening. But speaking of players being frustrated, the big talking point was around Drazah yesterday, because going into the World Championship, this is typically the time of year where the players are putting in the hard graft, right? Like, that's what you would imagine anyway on paper. This is the final run into the big tournament of the season. Now, I will say, based on what Envoy said the other day, we don't really know, it's still even as of today, what we are going to be playing on. I think the pros are scrimming again, but I don't really know what they're scrimming on, actually, because the regular accounts are on the new patch update for Season 4. It's not even that new, but it is current. And the CDL, though, because Codcast is broken, wants to play on an older one, but they can't really play on that, so the accounts are currently on an even older version. So, and it changes quite a lot. The meta's changed a fair bit, maybe, with the Jackal and the changes there. The control, kind of, let's say, playstyle you have to have with the way the new spawns work, that is somewhat different as well. So you would expect that the teams are trying to get all the practice in they can on this new patch, right? Like, you would think that would be a really good idea. Now, I don't know why they don't seem so willing to do it. Maybe it's because they're still not really sure what they're actually going to be playing on. That's possible, maybe. But look, Drazah is trying his hardest to get somebody to play a series of 8s. But right now, nobody wants to do it. And this is pretty crazy to me, right? Like, he's got this group chat here called Pro 8. You know, we got Zinni in there, we got Slasher in there. Guessing that looks like Accuracy in there as well. There's some others too. You know, we got Jose, that's Real. We got Travis Neptune, etc., etc. You know, we got Alec, of course, Arcetes. We got Byron Prolute. So it's not just like all pros, but still, it's people that might want to get involved. And as we see on Thursday, people are like 8s tonight, 8s, and then Drazah comes in and says 8s. And then after the weekend says 8s, and then it's like 8s, are you running it? Like, is this on? And RST says I'm in the Bahamas, because of course, you know, right now for the Falcons, their season is done until the World Cup, so why not take a bit of a break? Byron Prolute says, okay, I'm down, like, let's try and run it. But not much activity, right? Not much activity in the Pro H group chat. And you know, I know there's some talk about he's using light mode and all this. I think he said in the replies that I'm sick in the head. But you know, people are saying, wow, no way is Zinni in there or whatever. But the point is that at this point in the season, we're literally a couple of weeks away from the World Championship. You would expect that all the pros would be jumping, you know, chomping at the bit to get into some 8s, right? Like, okay, maybe it's because the new patch hasn't been fully confirmed, but I'm sure that, like, the decision must have been made on what patch they're playing on, how it is. Drazah wants to play, so presumably they know kind of what's going on. got a couple of weeks until the World Championship. It's just been a big talking point over the last couple of years. This year, I remember we talked about it before the season started because many of the pros this season were forced to take a pay cut, right? Like it was a big story. I think certainly the average salary, if you take the median salary, even the mean salary, I don't know, but let's say the median salary of the players in the league this year, pretty sure it's significantly lower than last year. That may actually not be true, but there was definitely many teams that were forced to take a pay cut. So there was a lot of talk about, oh, well, maybe the players, they're going to start streaming more. They're going to start, obviously, grinding more because, you know, your salary might be lower, but if you win a tournament, you still win big money.
Run above, knock one. Close right.
Wait. I don't even know where I just.
He's out of the
map. Oh, okay.
Dude, this game fucking sucks. This game is fucking dog shit.
Okay, you guys can do it to me, and I can't do it to you when I'm literally 1v.
They gave me the same offer.
I'm 1v3.
No.
Bro, we're in a fucking. Bro, we're in an actual fucking chow, bro.
I literally said no.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Bro, Fatty, this is not the same fucking chow, you fucking idiot. These guys are actually good. They beat us for $100 so far today. What don't you fucking get, bro?
How about you guys start helping?
I'm not playing. You guys can both suck my cock.
So it's just been a big talking point over the last few years, the fact that, you know, some of the players just don't seem very keen to do anything, right? Like, they turn up, they scrim, they get paid their money to play, but it, like, you know, is there really the ambition to try and be the best they could possibly be? I mean, look, whatever you think about Drazah, like him or loathe him, right? Like, he tries to be the best version of himself, like, certainly inside the game, right? I don't know what's his personal life, right? But you know what I'm saying, right? Like, Drazah will put in the graft, and he is considered, like, this is the reason why he's been successful, right? And there's certainly a correlation between the players that grind the most and the players that actually tend to win and do very well. And Drazah certainly is one of those, and we've seen that those results speak for themselves over the last couple of years. Look, some players don't like to play 8, so I don't think it's helpful. But when there's a new patch arriving and there's things to learn, surely, especially going into champs, I mean, like, after this tournament, I guess there's the World Cup too, but after that, you're off for a couple of months, right? You get to go to Cancun, right? So, you know, I just don't get the mentality, especially given that we thought maybe this year, with the paychecks being reduced somewhat, that we might see a bit more, you know, input or oomph or whatever you want to say from the pros, because the general feeling is that back in the day, people would be grinding all the time, guys like Illy, right? There'd always be 8s, there'd always be grinders, there'd always be search and destroy chows tournaments, everyone would be putting in the hard graft. And a large part of the logic behind that was that back in the day, the salaries weren't there. You know, Complexity of winning everything, getting paid $500 a month. So that's how it used to be. They would put in the work because they needed to win the tournaments for the money. The general theory is nowadays that because the players get paid anyway, they don't really care anymore. But it just, the logic doesn't really check out. Because if you've really got the proper competitors winning mentality, then that simply doesn't matter. But anyway, intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Drama, as always, going on there. Just quickly, congrats to Roberto and others, because I know that many have started to win these tickets to the World Cup. So Toronto, the Flank, I think, have now announced their winners, or like at least messaged in private their winners as well. But yeah, so many of the teams, just keep an eye out for this. Like, if you're a particular fan of a certain team and you've got a passport, which is, you know, pretty important to get to Saudi Arabia, then they are supporting fans of the certain teams to go. And apparently you also get a guest. So, you know, not bad at all. Just to close out the video here, we're getting to the conclusion of the Pro COD grid. Priester got the you know, kind of jump as the bad mechanics, average game sense, which is kind of unfortunate. And then we've got great mechanics, bad game sense. And I don't have to look at the replies to see what people may or may not be saying down there. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.